Okay, our next group of candidates is for the office of sheriff. And we were going to start with candidate Marte for your 2-minute introduction, opening statement. Please proceed.
Buenas tardes. Un placer estar con ustedes esta noche. Mi nombre es Rubén Marte. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. My name is Ruben Marte, and I am running for sheriff. At the current time, I am a captain with the Indiana State Police. I've been there for about 31 years to be exact. And in that capacity, I have administered a tremendous amount of different details. However, I'm just going to mention a few because of the essence of time. But I was responsible for the special investigation that encompasses 92 counties, which was dealing with vehicle theft, cyber crime, crimes against children, and intelligence. So every time we dealt with certain things that other agencies couldn't actually handle, it came across my desk, and we did that for the 92 counties. I'm also proud to be the first equity and inclusion officer for the Indiana State Police, which again, that encompasses the entire state as well. As administrator, I was very privileged to attend the FBI National Academy. What that means is that you get another level of administrative experience because all you do there is to teach you how to lead other people in the sense of a certain level, which the FBI National Academy is in Quantico, and you have to be there for 3 months, and they bring other chiefs of police from the nation, other countries as well, to train us together. So that being said, I have a tremendous amount of experience in the administrative side. Now, also proud to put together some programs for the community and also for the police as an instructor. So I am the candidate that have the tremendous amount of experience, I'll say that. And if I'm fortunate to be your next Monroe County Sheriff, I'll bring that to the table.
Thank you, candidate Marte. Before we go to the next candidate, in another life, I used to do a radio program. So I think for everyone to hear you, one of the tricks that I used to use is use this little deal and speak directly into the mic. If you're
Makes
that
sense.
close, I think you'll do fine.
Will do.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to candidate Purdy. Your opening statement, please.
We have learned the criminal justice system disproportionately arrests and imprisons Black and brown people, as well as other minority and marginal populations. I have learned of law enforcement's history in the abuse of Black and brown people. It's time for us to change. I am poised to lead that change. Who am I? I am Angie Purdy, and I have lived in Monroe County for 54 years. I went to Steinsville Elementary, went to Edgewood High School, graduated, was a member of the Marching Mustangs. I received my Bachelor of Science in Public Affairs with a concentration in criminal justice from our Indiana University. Why me? I am in my 9th year as the administrator for Monroe County government, serving under the Board of Commissioners. I manage multiple levels of personnel, budgets, policies, procedures, and interdepartmental communications for all offices. I actually oversee all county buildings. I have 9 direct staff members, and I serve as the higher authority for 5 other departments that fall under the purview of the Board of Commissioners, kind of like the vice principal. I bring 15 years of experience as a probation officer, meeting people where they are, recognizing that success is different for each person, and helping to break that cycle of recidivism. I have 25 years total in Monroe County government. I know how to run big business. County government is big business. Sheriff's office is big business. I know law enforcement and the criminal justice system and our legislature inflicts harm on our Black and brown community members. I will be a vocal advocate against harm and for change. I'm Angie Purdy, and I'm running for sheriff.
Thank you for your response. Candidate Stalkup.
Hello, and thank you to both caucuses for hosting and organizing this event tonight. As you already know, my name is Joni Stalkup. I'm a mom, a wife, a grandmother, and a lifelong citizen of Monroe County. I am the current elected coroner for Monroe County as well, and I am seeking the office of sheriff. I was an EMT for 22 years, worked as a 911 dispatcher, a deputy coroner since 2005, and currently work for Centerstone, our behavioral community health center, in addition to working full-time as coroner. Last year, I was appointed to the Indiana State Coroner's Training Board by Governor Holcomb. Over the past 5 years as your elected coroner, I have watched as the number of drug overdose-related deaths have climbed. In Monroe County, that number doubled from 2019 to 2020, and in 2021, we had 54 overdose-related deaths. That's 54 deaths that could have potentially been avoided. Along with overdose deaths, suicides have increased slightly as well. As sheriff, I feel it would put me in a position to make a difference in those numbers in a positive way by getting individuals with mental health issues and substance dependency that are in our direct care resources to help them address their situations. The sheriff's responsibility is the jail, its staff, the people housed in the jail, the deputies, and the administrative staff. As sheriff, you have the ability to make the changes that will directly impact the safety and well-being of all of these individuals in a positive way while promoting a well-balanced work environment. Compassion, transparency, accountability, upholding individual civil rights, equality, non-biased, and impartiality are all values and traits a sheriff should promote and follow. I run my current office with these values, and I would do the same as your Monroe County Sheriff.
Thank you for your response. Candidate Thomas, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. I used this excuse last time, and that was my throat was going out on me. Well, my voice is still cracking, so if it cracks, I apologize. My name is Troy Thomas. I was born and raised here in Bloomington, Indiana, and I'm a proud son of Dorothy and Cleveland Thomas. When I was 14 years old, I had a vision that I wanted to become a Monroe County deputy. I joined what was called the Monroe County Sheriff Explorer Post. It was for children that were interested in law enforcement. At the age of 18, I was hired in the Monroe County Jail under Sheriff Randy Williamson. I still had that vision. I wanted to be that policeman. I was that kid that grew up from West 7th Street, the Banneker Community Center, formerly known as the West Side Community Center. That was me as that kid. I knew I wanted to be a policeman, but I had some struggles. When I started here and applied for the road division, there was nobody that looked like me, not one soul. I was that 20-year-old kid that put my application in, and I got it. I got that job, becoming your first black person of color Monroe County Sheriff Deputy. It chokes me up to talk about it because I never thought I would be that person that would be in the history books of Monroe County. But I'm asking even further now to be in the history book as your Monroe County Sheriff, to also be the first black sheriff of Monroe County. I've held many positions throughout the Sheriff's Department. I've worked for 4 different sheriffs, and those sheriffs have all put me in command staff position. I look forward to being the next Monroe County Sheriff here. And before Nicole gives me that sign that she had a discussion with me about earlier, I'm going to go ahead and stop. But thank you.
Thank you all very much for your opening statements. Since candidate Marte started the opening statement, we will start with candidate Purdy on the next question. Now, I have a preface to the question. I would be happy to read it again if you want, and then this will be followed by the question. On April 17th, 2021, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department was involved in the fatal pursuit of Bloomington resident Malik Ali Malik, a black man. Despite efforts made by the local media who first requested body cam videos in April, local media did not receive access to redacted videos until months later at a fee of $75 per video and at a total cost of $2,475 for the 33 videos available. The question, starting with candidate Purdy, is as follows. If you are elected to be the next sheriff, how would your administration handle a pursuit situation and subsequent media requests?
Thank you. First of all, I will say that Monroe County government did not handle the Malik case in the manner that we should have. We learned a lot as a result of that case. Excuse me. First of all, regarding pursuit, law enforcement officers all around the country are having to look at pursuit and whether or not it's worth the risk that we have for our community members. Sorry. Okay. Pursuit is a Pursuit is a high-risk activity with an unknown reward. There are far too many innocent people who are killed or injured as a result of pursuit. So officers have to ask the question as to whether or not it's worth their time. Not their time, but is it worth the time to the community, the injuries to the community? Each potential pursuit situation has to be evaluated on the totality of the information at hand. I will, however, say that law enforcement, although they have the authority to respond, they do not have to respond. Going back to the public access, you're supposed to have a response within 24 hours or 7 days, depending on if you got to the first person who could answer that question. And then the department has a reasonable length of time to get the documents to you. Also, there's actually state statute that says law enforcement recording may not exceed $150 per unit. There was 33 units. Thank you. That's a hard one.
Thank you for your response. Candidate Stalkup, same question. If you are elected to be the next sheriff, how would your administration handle a pursuit situation and subsequent media requests?
Thank you. Any loss in our community is tragic. My office was directly involved with this particular situation, but not in the sheriff's department aspect. In reference to pursuits, I believe most professionals in law enforcement that we should be pursuing individuals only when risk of safety to the community is present. If we do not respond, the chaos, destruction, and the loss that could be rendered at the hands of a speeding driver is untold. In sane respect, a pursuit should be called off and stopped immediately if the potential harm for pedestrians is created by the pursuit itself. If the person that is being pursued is known to be a danger to the community and a wanted person for a violent, serious offense, I would want that person in custody as well, but not at the expense of losing a life. Requests for body cam footage sometimes takes an excessive amount of time based on the software and storage being used by the body cam manufacturer and the department implementing those cameras. As I understand it, each hour of footage that requires processing for release to the public or media requires 2 hours of processing by employees. That means there is 2 hours of cost to the department to provide footage, multiple involvement in officers, multiple cameras being used, multiple hours going into it. Each department must pay yearly, my apologies. I'll stop because it's my time up. I have more on that, but it's my time up.
Thank you. Moving on to candidate Thomas, same question, please. If you are elected to be the next sheriff, how would your administration handle a pursuit situation and subsequent media requests?
So going into this question when I got it, I debated on how we were going to respond to this because I'll address the elephant in the room. It's my case. It's my pursuit that we initiated. As a supervisor, I did cancel the pursuit. I told the units, terminate the pursuit. It's not worth someone getting hurt. And if anybody in this room for 1 minute thinks that the end result does not affect me or anybody else, even though I feel that I made the decision necessary, it hurts. I told my bosses about it later on because it hurts. We lost a life. Moving on, We just had a pursuit last week at our agency. I canceled it immediately. I agree. Is the safety of that individual or others worth it? I don't think it is. I need to answer this other question before we move into my time. I did some investigation about the fees as if I was already the sheriff. I went and asked. And as Joni had mentioned, there is a fee to it. And we now have something in place to avoid the amount that we charge for the family in this case. We have a new mechanism in place. Thank you, and sorry to the Malik family.
Thank you for your response. Same question, Candidate Marte. If you are elected to be the next sheriff, how would your administration handle a pursuit situation and subsequent media requests?
The way we handle pursuits, we pretty much train each year, follow the department policy, and if there's an error that's made, we go back and correct it. So we put the actual emphasis, is the pursuit worth someone's life? You know, that's the main thing, that main question. However, as far as the cost for releasing media, you know, through my administration, when I dealt with through the specialties that I mentioned, when they asked for actual footage, we never charged. The only time we would consider charging would be if it was a lot of man-hour, that we had people had to work overtime, or if the material was so large that we really had to. But in the years that I've been administrator and with different commands, we never charged at all. In fact, the administrative assistant made it a point just to make sure that everybody wanted the same sheet of music when it came to that, because we also had to involve the prosecutor's office as well.
Thank you all for your responses.
Thank you.
Moderator Reese.
Thank you. This question goes to candidate Stokup. In the past, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department has collaborated with ICE by sharing information on people in detention or arrested with ICE and detaining them in ICE holds. Even though this practice is unconstitutional, a violation of the Fourth Amendment, the question is, what is your position on this practice?
Pose a very troubling issue to all of law enforcement agencies. The direction from our federal government has changed multiple times since 2014, when the issue reached purview of the public eye. As Sheriff of Monroe County, I will be sworn to uphold and protect the Constitution of the United States of America. With that comes the Fourth Amendment. As it currently stands, courts across the United States have ruled ICE detainers may violate that Fourth Amendment, and that officers may be held liable for the detainment of individuals under ICE detainer requests. This is a risk I'm not prepared to make my officers undertake. Qualified immunity is not an absolute in law enforcement. It will not protect an officer who has been made aware of that their actions may be unconstitutional prior to their actions. The first basic rule of good law enforcement taught to every police officer is discretion. Good decisions are the standard of every officer. Local law enforcement is the only entity liable under these detainers, not the Department of Homeland Security, who oversees ICE. ICE detainers are voluntary, not mandatory. It's too much liability for officers of Monroe County Sheriff's Department and not in line with the good job and responsibilities of our Monroe County Sheriff's Department for these ICE detainers.
Thank you. Candidate Thomas.
Unfortunately, the law does require us to notify ICE in certain violations. Sheriff Swain currently notifies ICE only if the crime is serious. Murder, charges against children, rape, etc. I still want to continue that same practice as sheriff. I don't feel it's necessary in notifying them of lesser crimes, but in these cases, I feel that I have a duty as the sheriff to protect the citizens of Monroe County and to notify them of those type of crimes and cases that occur. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Marte.
So let me start by saying that under my administration, we're not going to be calling ICE just because the person is Latino. We don't do that if the person is from France, from Germany, so why are we doing it because the person is from a Spanish-speaking country? Now, that being said, I have taken an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States and for the state of Indiana, and I will continue to do so. But just because someone last name or someone comes from the Spanish-speaking country, we're just not going to go ahead and pick up the phone and call. Not under my administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Purdy.
Thank you. I, as your sheriff, would not engage with ICE. It is not, the detainer is not something that is recognized as a judicial document, and we would just not be, contacting them regarding anyone who's in our care or custody. That we have an obligation to take care of our community members, and these are our community members. So, thank you.
Thank you all for your responses. Moving to the next question, and the first responder will be Candidate Thomas. And the question is, what, if anything, do you see as issues with the Monroe County Jail? What is your vision for correcting those issues?
Thank you. We need a new jail. That goes without saying. A new jail that's designed with the future of incarceration in mind. Space for diversion. Programs for counseling. I want to be able to induce a social worker to the group upon release of an inmate. A lot of our inmates are repeat offenders. They get out, they come back. I want to be that guy, that sheriff, that comes and interviews our inmates once they're about to be released, as well as a social worker prior to them being released, and go over different outcomes. How can we change and keep you from coming back like you came back last time? What do we need to help you? What can we provide? Give them job applications. Put them in a successful environment instead of just releasing them and say, you're on your own. We know that doesn't work. They continue to come back. We want to change that. And with that, that would also change the overcrowding that we have within our facility now. Our jail only holds 280 people. And there's been many times in the past where we have well went over that. And we can't afford any other lawsuits that we've had in the past. And quite frankly, our inmates and our staff deserve better than the establishment that we have now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your response. Moving on to Candidate Marte, same question. What, if anything, do you see as issues with the Monroe County Jail? And what is your vision for correcting those issues?
When I took a tour of the jail, that jail, it's just outlived its resources. We need a new jail. That's just the bottom line. We can't provide programs inside the jail because the jail is so old. So in order to reduce the percentage, when I say we need a new jail, people sometimes look at me like, really? But we do, because not to keep more people inside the system, is to actually have more programs inside and outside to provide those services. But we can't do it with the present jail right now. So many different things could be done. And when I travel the state of Indiana and I visit other jails, I tell you, right now, I know for a fact we could do a whole lot better. Because, you know, to be humane, we have to do better right now for the people inside that system. Because we have people in there that, God's sakes, it's just not suited for human beings to be treated that way, no matter what the circumstances that put them inside that system. So do we need a new jail? Absolutely.
Thank you for your response. Candidate Purdy, same question. What, if anything, do you see as issues with the Monroe County Jail? And what is your vision for correcting those issues?
Thank you. It's been clearly stated numerous times by this group and the judges before us that this jail is at its beyond end of life. It has been used in excess from the minute it was built. These buildings should not be filled more than 80% of their capacity. We have filled this jail far beyond that capacity. To give you an example, a 300-bed facility, the maximum number of beds that should be used would be 240. If you get to 240, you have to have contingencies in place with your Board of Judges, the Board of Commissioners, and the County Council, because there's going to be a future reference that has to be taken care of. We are unable to consistently provide constitutional levels of care to the inmates. We do not have a facility that will allow us to do programming. We cannot provide treatment programs, and as it's been stated, we do not provide the respect and dignity that is necessary for our occupants. My vision is we have alternatives to booking into jail for law enforcement. I would like to see a co-located mental health treatment facility, supportive services nearby, community connections, and collaboration. We have to have a facility that provides for the respect and dignity of all of our occupants, a facility that can be shown to reduce recidivism. Thank you.
Thank you. And to complete this section, candidate Stalkup, and the same question. What, if anything, do you see as issues with the Monroe County Jail? And what is your vision for correcting those issues?
As already previously stated by so many people, we do need a new jail. The Monroe County Jail, like jails across the state, has been inundated with drug offenders and low-level crime offenses due to the opioid epidemic. This affects people of all ages, all races, and all genders. Substance dependency and mental health conditions do not discriminate, and they affect almost every family in the United States. As sheriff, I will put focus back on addressing proper staffing levels at the jail, as well as make sure that our current jail staff is well supported in their careers. A better trained and staffed workforce will improve conditions. Many of the issues that arise in a correctional facility stem from the top down. I am here to tell you, as your sheriff for Monroe County, I will lead by example. I will hear the complaints and challenges brought forth by the community and work to make our jail a leading example. Having correction officers with a diverse background, as well as being multilingual, working with those being housed is necessary so that those barriers are broken and communication is open. The need for a new correctional facility will help address the issues we currently have. Working with the commissioners and council to set this process in motion is one of my priorities as sheriff. Adequate housing of the inmates creates a safer and healthier environment, not just for those being housed, but for the correctional officers working there, as well as the community. The safety of all of the community is of utmost importance.
Thank you. This final question, well, it could be. We might have some time, but additional question goes first to candidate Marte. Do you believe that Black Lives Matter?
Yes, Black Lives Matter. I could tell you, as growing up in the South Bronx as a African Latino, and remember how I was treated by the police, yes. You know, believe it or not, back then I had hair. I had an afro. I'm a little sensitive about that, but I had hair. And I looked older than when I really was, and the police will stop me, you know, and I had no, and it made it worse where English was my second language. So as I'm scared, I can't respond fast enough because I'm thinking everything in Spanish and I'm trying to get the words out in English. And, you know, they treated me with gun being pointed just because I was responding fast enough. So does Black Lives Matter? Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I've been put in a position now as a captain with the Indiana State Police is to be able to go and train tens of thousands of officers, and that very reason for why is it that people of color are afraid of the police. And simultaneously, when I go out and talk to the community and try to teach the community, how do you hold officers accountable? Why is it that we do things a certain way? Because now I can speak the lingo and I understand how the system works. As an administrator, it's my responsibility to make sure that we hold people accountable because Black Lives Matter.
Thank you. Candidate Purdy, do you believe that Black Lives Matter?
We do. After George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Rayshard Brooks, I struggled with the hatred that I was hearing and seeing for law enforcement officers. And I say that because my son is a law enforcement officer. It was very difficult. I did not know how to align these two very diverse and opposite positions, so I began educating myself. I participated in DEI training, and I learned as a result of that a lot. I have learned that I can love and support my law enforcement son, and I can stand for and support Black lives. We, speaking as the collective white, have acted since the 1800s through Black code, Jim Crow laws, that Black lives somehow were less important and that white lives were better and higher in the hierarchical chain. We have to stop that history. We have to stand up against the bigotry. Black Lives Matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Stokup, do you believe that Black Lives Matter?
The answer without question is yes. I do believe Black Lives Matter. As we as a state and a nation move towards being a more diverse population, it is important to me that everyone understands their own value in our society. We have made tremendous progress in the last century, but as we look around at the violence and the resulting rhetoric thrown around, we have a long way to go. We have become far too polarizing with our arguments and need to return to a discussion about solutions, not positions, creation, not destruction, and equality, not disparity. A man by the name of Carter Temple Jr. was possibly the very first Black officer in Indiana back in 1876. Black people were blazing trails way back then when a Kentucky slave became Indianapolis Police Department's first sworn Black officer. We can continue that here in Monroe County. Research shows that communities who practice community policing by making sure their police departments resemble their communities they are policing, practicing diversity, are better run and prove a better servant organization to their community. We cannot rewrite or undo history. However, we can learn and make changes to make a better future.
Thank you. Candidate Thomas, do you believe that Black Lives Matter?
My dad and mom grew up in Mississippi and Memphis, Tennessee in the 30s. Do I believe Black Lives Matter? Yes, I do. I 100% believe it. And a lot of people get twisted because they believe it's a political stance or it's a issue of whatever. The truth is, it's a movement. And if we didn't have that movement, where would we be today? It's a movement that we all need. It's a movement that's going to help people of color or people that look like me to get back to trusting the police. We need Black Lives Matter. It took a while for me to wrap it around my head, but speaking to others, because me as a policeman, 90% of the time I'm in a uniform. So I understand I have a part of me that's probably sheltered more than a normal person of color. I understand that. But I know we need the movement such as Black Lives Matter. So to answer your question, yes, I agree with Black Lives Matter and I support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your responses.
All right. Thank you all. This has been a thoroughly engaging and informative candidate forum this evening. Thank you all, not only this segment, but all the previous segments. To complete this forum, you all will have 1 minute for a closing statement. We will start with candidate Purdy.
Thank you all for having us here and allowing us to speak and share our visions with you. We have learned a lot, and yet so little. We, and I'm speaking now in the law enforcement frame, have to face the truth of our history before we can truly move on. We have to understand our role in that history and how we have to make paradigm changes in our lives. As I said before, Maya Angelou, do the best you can until you know better. When you know better, do better. It's time to do better. I'm Angie Purdy. I'm running for sheriff, and I would appreciate your vote. on May 3rd or tomorrow if you elect to vote early. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Stalkup.
I want to once again thank the INLDC District 9 and the Monroe County Black Democratic Caucus for this opportunity to let the community hear the candidates' goals and answer questions so that they can make an informed decision when it comes time to vote. I chose to run for this office because I feel it's time. It's time to address the mental health and substance use crisis in this county, one that has been plaguing the entire nation. Substance dependency and mental health conditions do not discriminate and directly affect most families. We need to break down the stigma that all uniformed officers are bad. They're not. I want to be a part of that change. I want to help break that stigma. I want to return to community policing. I want to be your next sheriff. I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Candidate Thomas.
I was that 14-year-old kid that grew up on West 7th Street in Bloomington. I want to be your next sheriff. I've been here at the sheriff's department. I've worked in the jail. I've worked on the road. I've held every position within the agency outside of the sheriff. I want to be able to take the bad that I've seen or the good that I've seen from the other sheriffs and take that and get rid of the bad. I want to be able to bring the citizens of Monroe County back, especially our people of color, to where they trust police again. My whole goal in life has been that, to make people feel like Nicole's holding a sign in front of my face. 30 seconds. I want to be able to be that officer that kids come up to and say, hey, you're different from every policeman. I want all policemen to be that guy, that they come up to, guy or girl. I appreciate it. On May 3rd, I look forward to your vote. Thank you all, and thank you to the caucuses. I appreciate you, and God bless.
Thank you for your response. And we'll finish up with candidate Marte.
So thank everyone for being here this evening. It's at 8:05, so thank you again for being here. I have 5 platforms that I have, for my administration. If I'm blessed enough to be the next sheriff, I really want to increase public safety. I want to reduce people from returning back to the system by providing programs once we deal with the new jail situation. I definitely want to increase the training for the sheriff department to include everyone, just not the deputies that work the road. We need to train everyone and bring us to a higher standard and keep us at a higher standard and leave the department, if I get the position, at a better position than it is right now. Our job is to make it better for everyone. And I also want to expand and have a robust outreach program. Without the community, it won't work. We have to be able to talk to each other because, we have something in common. We both want to leave a traffic stop alive, and we have to work together with that, okay? So my name is Ruben Marte. I'm running for sheriff, and I will appreciate your vote either tomorrow or May 3rd.
Thank you. Thank you, give a round of applause. And thank you to the people that's online. Thank you for being here with us.
I do believe we'll have final comments from, all right, Clerk Bowden.
Candidates, if you could stay up there for just a quick picture at the end. I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. We are here again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. to hear from our commissioner candidates, our 9th District congressional candidates, and our Indiana House 46. I'm 62. You know what? I'm just making up numbers at this point. Anybody who knows me, I go to bed right now, so it's late. But thank you all for coming. We will see you all tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.